In the quiet stillness of the early morning, before the rush of the world begins to pull at the senses, there exists a moment of profound preparation. Every thought ever harbored, every action taken in the heat of a crisis, and every word spoken in the softest whisper has been a brick in the foundation of the leader standing there today. It is often believed that leadership is a destination, reached by a title or a corner office, but the reality is far more expansive and intimate. It is a journey that began long before the first command was given, rooted in the very fabric of an individual's life experiences. Whether one is standing at the helm of a multinational corporation in Europe or simply guiding a small, bustling family through the complexities of daily life, the essence remains the same. Leadership is not a performance for the world to see. It is the culmination of a lifetime of internal shaping. The call to lead manifests in countless forms, some grand and others seemingly trivial, yet none are without weight. One might find themselves organizing a local volunteer group in the home region, or perhaps coaching a youth sports team on a sun-drenched Saturday afternoon. In these moments, the stakes may feel lower than those of a CEO facing a board of directors, yet the core requirement is identical: the ability to inspire, to organize, and to motivate. There is a profound symmetry between the parent who navigates the emotional landscape of a household and the executive who steers a global enterprise through economic storms. Both are tasked with the delicate art of human connection, and both must draw from a well of personal character that has been filled over many years. Across the globe, from the bustling markets of Latin America to the high-tech hubs of the American continent, there is a palpable hunger for genuine leadership. It is a void felt in governments that struggle to find a steady focus, in businesses that buckle under the pressure of relentless competition, and in public sectors where resources are thin and the needs are vast. This scarcity is not just a lack of strategy or intelligence. It is a lack of the foundational strength that allows a leader to remain upright when the winds of scandal or failure blow. When one looks around at the communities in turmoil, from fractured religious institutions to families living in a state of perpetual conflict, the common thread is often a leadership that lacks a deep internal anchor. When the mind wanders toward the image of a successful leader, it often lands on the figures who occupy the bright lights of public life, individuals whose names are synonymous with innovation and vast wealth. Yet the most impactful leaders are often those whose names never grace a headline. They are the former teachers who saw potential where others saw trouble, the community organizers who tirelessly advocate for the overlooked, or the business partners who lead with quiet integrity. The journey toward becoming such a figure is not about mimicking the outward traits of the famous. It is about refining the hidden parts of the self. There is a world waiting for those willing to do the internal work, a world that desperately needs people who can stand as pillars of consistency and vision. However, there is a hidden trap that many fall into, a tendency to leave half the tools in their arsenal untouched. Thousands of aspiring leaders move through their careers with their greatest strengths underutilized, while simultaneously clinging to weaknesses that act as invisible anchors. They strive for progress while ignoring the very things that pull them back. To truly begin this journey, one must be willing to step away from the noise and engage in a process of deep reflection. It is an invitation to explore not just how to manage others, but how to be remembered by them. What will remain when the title is gone? What legacy is being built in the silent interactions of today? The first step of this path involves a confrontation that many avoid, for it requires looking into a place that is rarely seen with clarity. This path of development is structured around the mastery of various domains: the art of self-governance, the understanding of deep motivations, and the ability to communicate with a resonance that moves others. It involves learning how to foster new leaders, creating space for them to grow, and navigating the turbulent waters of change without losing one's way. Every step forward is a new idea, a new habit to be formed, and a new way of being in the world. Yet before any of these external skills can be mastered, there is a fundamental truth that must be embraced. It is a truth that begins in front of a mirror, where the reflection staring back holds the key to everything that follows. The journey begins with the most difficult task of all, the honest appraisal of the person looking back, a task that carries a weight of its own. To lead another human being is to enter into a sacred contract of influence, but this contract cannot be signed until one has first come to terms with themselves. The foundation of successful leadership is built upon 4 undeniable truths that link the inner world of the leader to the outer world of their followers. The first truth states that to truly understand another person, one must first possess a deep and unflinching knowledge of the self. Without this, the leader is like a navigator who does not know their own starting coordinates. They may have a map of their destination, but they have no way of knowing how to get there. The second truth follows closely. To lead someone successfully, one must grasp who they are and what drives them at their core. This is not about manipulation, but about a profound empathy that can only be cultivated when the leader has first explored their own depths. The third and fourth truths bridge the gap between understanding and action. Leadership is not merely a set of external behaviors, it is an edifice constructed upon the ability to lead oneself. Self-leadership is the invisible work that happens behind the scenes, the discipline to choose the right path over the easy one. And finally, successful self-leadership is only possible when an individual understands their own inner workings, their triggers, their biases, and their deepest desires. These 4 truths are not separate pillars, but are interwoven, forming a cycle of awareness that sustains a leader through the inevitable trials of their role. Most people believe they know themselves quite well, but in the high-pressure environment of leadership, this self-assurance is often revealed to be a fragile illusion. In reality, it is rare to find an individual who fully comprehends the intricate map of their own personality. They may know their professional strengths, but they are often blind to the subtle habits and impulses that govern their reactions. A leader might be skilled at strategy, yet remain entirely unaware of why they become defensive in a meeting, or why they feel a pang of envy when a subordinate succeeds. There are layers of personality, values, emotions, patterns of thought that remain submerged like the bulk of an iceberg. Many have no desire to dive into these cold waters, to understand why they are prone to impatience, or why they fear speaking their truth in a difficult situation. They prefer to stay on the surface, where the view is comfortable and unchallenging. This lack of self-understanding is not merely a personal deficit, it is a danger to everyone the leader touches. When a leader does not understand what moves within them, they are prone to misjudging the motives of others. They reach flawed conclusions based on their own unexamined biases and can become devastatingly insensitive to the weaknesses of those they are meant to support. The tragedy of the leader who believes they are perfect is that they are unable to learn from failure. When things go wrong, as they inevitably do, the finger of blame is always pointed outward. It is the fault of the market, the team, the circumstances, never the shadow cast by the leader's own blind spots. This lack of accountability creates a toxic atmosphere, transforming the leader into someone people eventually seek to avoid rather than follow. Consider the impact of a leader who is driven by an unexamined fear of inadequacy. Every suggestion from a colleague is seen as a threat to their authority. Every mistake made by a team member is treated as a personal betrayal. Because they have not looked into the mirror to see their own insecurities, they project them onto the world around them. They create a culture of fear and silence, where the pursuit of truth is sacrificed for the preservation of the leader's ego. This is the path of the repulsive leader, one who may hold power but will never hold the genuine respect or loyalty of those they lead. The power they wield is brittle, sustained only by their position and not by the strength of their character. The weight of these 4 truths can be daunting. It is far easier to focus on the mechanics of management, the spreadsheets and the timelines, than it is to look at the darker corners of one's own psyche. Yet there is no shortcut. The ability to move others is inextricably linked to the ability to move oneself, and the ability to move oneself is rooted in the clarity of self-perception. To step into the role of a leader is to accept the challenge of constant self-discovery. It is to recognize that the greatest obstacle to one's success is rarely an external competitor, but the unexamined version of the person currently in charge. As the sun climbs higher, the realization begins to dawn. The most important work of leadership has nothing to do with others and everything to do with the stranger in the mirror.
In the bustling corridors of power across the American continent, or within the quiet walls of a startup in England, the struggle for self-awareness plays out in the same way. It is a slow, often painful unfolding. To look deeply into one's own reflection is to acknowledge that the person standing there is a complex mix of light and shadow. It is uncomfortable to confront the reality that one's best intentions can be undermined by hidden patterns of behavior. Yet this discomfort is the very soil in which true leadership grows. The narrative of the perfect leader is a myth that serves no one. It only creates a barrier to the growth that comes from acknowledging one's own humanity. Imagine a leader who, in the heat of a high-stakes negotiation, suddenly feels a wave of irritation. To the outside world, they might appear composed, but internally, the gears of a negative pattern are beginning to turn. If this leader has not done the work of self-discovery, they might lash out, shut down, or make a decision based on pique rather than principle. They may justify their reaction as being tough or standing their ground, but in truth, they are simply a puppet of an emotion they do not understand. On the other hand, a leader who has mapped their internal landscape recognizes the irritation the moment it arises. They know it stems from a specific trigger, perhaps a feeling of being unheard that dates back to their earliest days. Because they see it, they are not controlled by it. They can choose a different response, one that serves the mission rather than the ego. This depth of exploration requires a willingness to examine the things that most people prefer to ignore: jealousy, envy, and fear. These are not bad emotions, but they are powerful ones. In the context of leadership, an unexamined sense of jealousy toward a rising star can lead a manager to stifle that person's growth, effectively harming the very organization they are supposed to build. An unexamined fear of conflict can lead a leader to avoid difficult conversations, allowing small problems to fester into disasters. By bringing these emotions into the light, the leader strips them of their power. They become data points rather than directives. The journey into the self is about discovering these hidden drivers and understanding how they shape the way one views the world. Every leader carries a set of biases, mental shortcuts that help make sense of the world, but can also lead to profound errors in judgment. These biases are often invisible, woven into the way a person thinks and perceives others. A leader might unconsciously favor those who remind them of themselves, or they might dismiss the contributions of someone whose communication style is different. Without self-awareness, these biases remain at the helm, steering the leader toward unfairness and stagnation. The process of deep exploration involves questioning one's own conclusions. It asks, why do I believe this is true? What part of my history is influencing this judgment? Am I seeing the person in front of me, or am I seeing my own projection? As the leader delves deeper, they begin to see the rhythms of their own moods and how those rhythms affect the environment around them. They realize that their bad mood is not a private experience. It is a weather system that impacts the entire team. In Latin America or any part of the world, a leader's emotional state can either foster a culture of creativity and safety or one of anxiety and withdrawal. Understanding how one treats others when stressed or how one acts when feeling undervalued is crucial. It is about taking responsibility for the energy one brings into a room. This is the emotional subtext of leadership, the invisible currents that dictate the success or failure of any collective effort. This intellectual and emotional progression is not a one-time event, but a continuous cycle of observation and adjustment. It is a commitment to being a student of one's own soul. The more a leader learns about their own needs, impulses, and values, the more they can align their actions with their true purpose. They stop being a reactive force and start becoming a deliberate one. The tension of this stage of the journey lies in the gap between who the leader is and who they want to be. It is the realization that the path to greatness is paved with the honest admission of one's own flaws. As this insight deepens, the leader stands at the edge of a transformation, ready to move from the abstract understanding of self to the concrete actions that will redefine their path.
The turning point in any journey of leadership often occurs in a moment of quiet, brutal honesty. It might happen in a boardroom in England or a small office in the American continent, but the setting is secondary to the internal event. It is the moment when the leader stops looking for external reasons for their struggles and turns their gaze inward. This is the climax of self-discovery, the realization that the limitations of the team, the stagnation of the project, or the tension in the office are reflections of the leader's own unresolved inner conflicts. It is a heavy revolution, one that can feel like a collapse of the identity they have carefully constructed. Yet it is within this collapse that the seeds of a new, more powerful way of being are sown. Facing one's limitations, especially those that are somber or dark, is an act of profound courage. It is not about public self-flagellation or exposing every weakness to the world. Rather, it is a private act of integrity, a vow to no longer lie to the person in the mirror. For a leader, this might mean admitting that their decisiveness is actually a cover for an inability to listen,
or that their high standards are a mask for a perfectionism that paralyzes those around them. To see these patterns clearly is to experience a moment of intense vulnerability. It is the dismantling of the perfect facade. But as the facade falls, it is replaced by something far more resilient: authenticity. In this state of clarity, the leader begins to see their patterns not as permanent flaws, but as behaviors that can be observed and changed. They recognize that their negative reactions, the irritation that flares when things don't go as planned, the maundering mood that descends under stress, are not inevitable parts of their personality. They are habits, and like all habits, they can be rewritten. This is the critical revelation. The leader is not a finished product, but a work in progress. This understanding changes everything. The trajectory of their leadership shifts from a quest for power and control to a quest for growth and contribution. The focus moves from how do I look to others to how can I be better for them? This shift in perspective is often accompanied by a decision to engage with reality in a new way. Instead of avoiding the truth of their impact on others, the leader begins to seek it out. They recognize that they are often the last person to know how they are perceived. In the home region or anywhere they find themselves, they realize that their friends, family, and colleagues hold pieces of the puzzle that they themselves cannot see. The decision to ask for honest, potentially painful feedback is the ultimate turning point. It is a declaration that the desire to grow is stronger than the desire to feel comfortable. It is the moment when the leader truly begins to lead themselves. This confrontation with the self is the most dramatic turning point because it redefines the very nature of the leader's influence. No longer are they trying to manage people like pieces on a chessboard. They are engaging in a shared human experience from a place of awareness. The intensity of this realization can be gripping. It is the feeling of a weight lifting, the weight of having to be right, the weight of having to be perfect, the weight of the secrets one keeps from oneself. In the aftermath of this revelation, there is a sense of profound transition. The leader is no longer the person they were just moments ago. They have crossed a threshold into a new level of understanding, one that is grounded in the reality of their own strengths and shadows. The resolution of this internal conflict does not come with fireworks, but with a quiet, steely resolve. The leader understands that the path ahead will still be difficult, and they will still make mistakes, but they will no longer be blind to them. They have gained the clarity to see their own hand in the events of their life. As they move out of the climax of this self-confrontation, they are equipped with a new set of tools, not just for managing others, but for managing the complex, beautiful, and often frustrating human being they see in the mirror. The transformation is underway, and the consequences of this change will soon be felt by everyone in their orbit, from the closest family member to the most distant professional acquaintance.
In the aftermath of such a profound internal shift, a new kind of quietude begins to settle over the leader's life. The frantic need to defend one's ego starts to dissipate, replaced by a steady commitment to observation and practice. This is the stage of integration, where the insights gained in the heat of self-reflection are woven into the fabric of daily life. It is one thing to acknowledge a weakness in a moment of clarity. It is quite another to catch that weakness as it manifests in a Tuesday afternoon staff meeting. The leader begins to treat their own life as a laboratory, a place where new habits of mind and behavior are tested and refined. One of the most powerful tools in this process of transformation is the simple act of recording one's thoughts and actions. By maintaining a journal, the leader creates a secondary mirror, a way to see the patterns of their days in black and white. They begin to notice the recurring themes. What causes the maundering mood? What sparks the feeling of envy? How they treat people when the pressure is at its peak. This is not an exercise in self-criticism, but in data collection. Over time, the entries reveal the architecture of their personality. They see the triggers for their stress and the sources of their greatest joys. This written record becomes a map of the self, allowing the leader to navigate the complexities of their own nature with increasing skill. Another profound shift occurs when the leader begins to utilize the perspectives of those around them. They realize that their closest associates, the friends who see them at their worst, the family members who know their history, the colleagues who witness their professional performance, possess a unique vantage point. In the home region or in any professional setting, the leader begins to ask the difficult questions. How do I react when things go wrong? What is it about my behavior that irritates you most? What is one habit I should change to be a better person? This requires a remarkable level of humility. It is the act of giving others permission to be honest, even if that honesty might cause a temporary sting. The feedback received is not taken as an attack, but as a gift of clarity. As these external perspectives are integrated with internal reflections, a clearer picture of the leader's set point emerges. They begin to see the difference between their intentions and their impact.
They might intend to be supportive, but the feedback tells them they are perceived as overbearing. They might intend to be visionary, but they learn they are seen as disconnected from reality. This alignment of self-perception and external reality is the foundation of genuine leadership. It allows the leader to adjust their approach with precision. They stop guessing how they are being received and start knowing. This clarity reduces the friction in all their relationships, leading to a more harmonious and effective environment. The internal transformation begins to manifest in the way the leader handles success and failure. When things go well, they are less likely to let it inflate their ego, knowing the role that others and circumstances played. When things go poorly, they no longer look for a scapegoat. They ask, what was my part in this? How did my patterns of thought or behavior contribute to this outcome? This radical accountability is magnetic. It inspires trust and loyalty in others, as they see a leader who is more interested in the truth than in being right. The aftermath of the climax is not a return to the old way of being, but the establishment of a new, more stable foundation for leadership. As the leader continues to grow, they find that they are not only leading themselves more effectively, but they are also becoming a better observer of others. By understanding their own complexity, they become more patient with the complexity of their followers. They recognize that everyone is fighting their own internal battles and governed by their own unexamined patterns. This empathy, born of self-knowledge, is the secret engine of high-performing teams. The leader who knows themselves can lead from a place of calm and focus, even in the midst of a storm. They have moved beyond the mechanics of leadership and into the heart of it, where influence is a natural byproduct of a well-ordered and self-aware life.
The journey of leadership ultimately is not about the heights one reaches or the titles one collects, but about the depth of one's own character. It is a process that never truly ends, for as long as there is life, there is the opportunity to know the self more deeply. To lead is to accept the responsibility of being the primary architect of one's own soul. The four truths of connection: knowing the self to know others, understanding others to lead them, building leadership on self-governance, and grounding that governance in self-knowledge, form a circle of wisdom that can guide a person through any challenge in any part of the world, from the American continent to the furthest reaches of Europe. At its core, this is a message of profound empowerment. It suggests that the keys to leadership are not found in a secret manual or a prestigious degree, but within the leader themselves. While it may be uncomfortable to look into the mirror and acknowledge the shadows, it is the only way to truly step into the light. The honest recognition of one's patterns, the willingness to seek feedback, and the discipline to maintain a reflective practice are the habits of those who do not just occupy positions of power, but who truly lead. They are the ones who create cultures of honesty, growth, and resilience because they embody those qualities in their own lives. The legacy of such a leader is not measured in the profits they generate or the structures they build, though those may be significant. It is measured in the growth of the people they touch. A leader who knows themselves creates a space where others feel safe to know themselves too. They become a mirror for their followers, reflecting back their potential while also helping them navigate their own shadows. This ripple effect of self-awareness is what transforms families, organizations, and entire communities. It is the difference between a leadership that is merely endured and a leadership that is admired and followed with devotion. As one reflects on this journey, it becomes clear that the most important habit a leader can cultivate is the habit of being present with themselves. It is the willingness to pause, to look inward, and to ask, who am I becoming? This question is the compass that keeps a leader on the right path, ensuring that their actions remain aligned with their values. It is a guard against the arrogance of power and the blindness of ego. In a world that is often chaotic and demanding, the leader who possesses a quiet internal clarity becomes a point of stability, a lighthouse for others to follow. There is a great world waiting for those who are willing to transform themselves into the best leaders they can be. This transformation is not a destination, but a way of moving through the world. It is a commitment to the truth, a dedication to growth, and a profound respect for the complexity of the human experience. Whether in the home region or on a global stage, the principles remain the same.
The journey begins with a single step, and that step is always toward the reflection in the mirror. Let the final insight be this: leadership is the outward expression of an inward reality. To change the world, or even just to change the atmosphere of a single room, one must first change the person who stands at the center of it. The path of self-knowledge is demanding, and few are willing to travel it with the necessary honesty. But for those who do, the rewards are immeasurable. They gain a mastery over their own lives that allows them to lead others with a grace, a strength, and a wisdom that leaves a lasting mark on the world. The journey is yours to take, and it begins the moment you decide to truly see the person looking back at you.